What do you think the most powerful tool for learning is? If you said discipline, it's a good guess, but you would be wrong. One of the most powerful tools for learning is actually play. I realized this recently when I was watching my 9-month-old son splash with his spilt milk on his high chair. My instinct was to stop him, to clean it up. But instead, I paused. I was watching him as he watched how it moved, feeling the texture, testing cause and effect. I saw a mess, but Harvey, he was learning. Children understand something many adults forget. Play is not the opposite of growth, it is growth. Somewhere along the way, many adults were taught that play is childish or unproductive, something we earn after hard work. And I know I have been guilty of this. But psychology tells a completely different story. So today we're talking about why you need to start playing. Welcome to the Be Your Own Life Coach podcast, where you master your mind and coach your own comeback. You are the hero, you are the guide, and you will learn to architect your life from the inside. I'm your host, Britannia Stowe, joined by my sister and co host, Annika Wilder. Enjoy the show. Annika, have you played today?
Oh, today? Well, I mean, it's 10 in the morning. I don't think so. I
I
think
played today.
you played already? What did you do?
I went to the gym and I danced at the gym.
Yeah, that's playing. I played on Saturday. I played yesterday. I tease with my kids and my husband. Oh, you know what? Kaylani put a whoopee cushion on my driver's seat in the car today. So
Are you
yes, I
serious?
played. Yes, that was she just had a birthday. She turned 7 and the number one gifts, or she had three requests for her birthday: to go swimming, to get a scooter, and to buy whoopee cushions. And we were able to do all three, and we got her three whoopee cushions, and I find them under my pillow, in my blankets, on my car seat, in the dining room seat, on the couch.
I love this so much. I love how playful Kaylani is and how playful you are to share in that experience with her.
Yeah, it's fun. Kids definitely teach you and remind you to play. So I'm excited about this topic because I am a big proponent of play, but yeah, I mean, we'll definitely talk about how adults forget how to. And so why don't you kind of teach us, Britannia? Why do children learn through play?
Yeah, before I dig into that, I do want to do a quick shout out to one of my best friends, Kaylee DeLuga. She doesn't know I'm doing this. Today is her birthday. So, the day we're recording and filming this, today is her birthday. And in a conversation I had with her last week, this idea for this episode came up. The value of doing something different, the value of play. And so I just want to give a shout out to one of my best friends for helping me to see this. And then watching Harvey, I had this aha moment that children learn through play. So, instead of, a child just sitting down like, "Oh, I'm going to learn today." They're constantly discovering, right? Play is natural for them, and it's the most powerful form of education. So, children don't have to be asked to go play. Yet, when they are playing, their mind is open. They're building the skills that they need to become an adult. So it's kind of crazy that, during a childhood, you're learning through play. But when you become an adult, you kind of forget that and you stop playing.
hmm Well, in your very first question in the beginning of the episode, you said, what is the most powerful tool for learning? And my mind actually went to making mistakes. Like you learn through mistakes, but playing is the first form of learning through mistakes. Because when kids are building blocks and they're being too aggressive and it falls down, they learn to be soft or to be more careful and meticulous. Or if they're learning how to, I mean, do anything with play, like they're getting their hands in the dirt and then they put it in their mouth and they go, "Oh, yucky." They made a mistake by putting the dirt in their mouth. They're learning through play, but also their play breeds mistakes, which breeds more learning.
Yes, exactly. And what do you think a child is learning when they are playing and making mistakes?
Yeah, I mean, problem solving skills, creativity, they're learning motor skills, like literally how to use their fingers, their hands. They're learning social intelligence. I mean, there's a whole bunch that they're learning. In fact, there's entire types of schools wrapped around this idea of play-based learning. It's where my kids used to go, where it was child-led learning based off of how they play and what they're interested in and how they can learn through play.
Oh, I love that. I wish, universities and college was like that. You know, I feel like I learn best when I'm having a good time or today at the gym. So I, got my workout in and I never know if I'm going to get one depending on how Harvey is doing. But I realized that I was feeling my music and I was dancing. And the more that I like got into what I was doing and dancing and not caring about anyone else, not caring how long I've been on a machine, not caring necessarily if I'm going as hard as I possibly could, but just having a good time, I realized I actually had a better workout.
hmm Well, it's the same thing in the workplace when you gamify things. I mean, I was telling you just earlier, I'm learning a lot from Alison Armstrong, and she's studied men since the 90s, and she knows what motivates men, and men need competition, they need to win, which is like a form of play, like if you gamify things. And she told the story of a guy who was not performing at the level he should be at his job. And manager after manager could not get him to budge. And finally, one manager, I don't know if it was Allison herself or maybe it was some lady she was training from Allison's programs. She applied these things that she learned about men in the workplace and gamified it and basically said, if you do these things, you will win. And he immediately was like, what will I win? And it was exciting. And then that immediately that night, because he worked a night shift, he performed at top level because he gamified it, because he was motivated by winning. And what is winning associated with? Games.
Yeah, this as you were explaining this, it made me think of the learning app Duolingo. Have you ever used Duolingo to learn
No.
a language?
Mm-mm.
So I actually started to use a different app, but when I was trying to relearn my German, I downloaded Duolingo, and in this app, they do such a good job of gamifying the learning experience. You earn points and you compete against other people, and there's a leaderboard, and if you just do like 10 minutes a day, your little avatar like moves forward. And it's been honestly a while since I've been on it, so it may have changed a little bit. But they literally took that idea of let's gamify this, let's make it play. Just like downloading a game on your phone, but instead you're going to learn a language. And one of my best friends, Mike, used it to help him learn German, to help him learn French. It's a really cool tool. And so when we see kids, stacking blocks, they're not just stacking blocks, they're learning balance and they're learning about physics and gravity, even patience and persistence. And then that same child, or maybe another child, comes over and knocks it down, and they're learning cause and effect. What happens when I push these over? And then a child rebuilding that same tower is learning resilience. And so there's so many things that these children are learning when they are playing. Can you think of any other examples of, maybe something that a child does and what skills they may be learning that they'll use in adulthood?
I mean, just anything like when kids, my daughter loves to paint and to color. So she's learning how to color within the lines or how it will look not coloring within the lines. So she'll learn how to hold the pencil or the pen or the marker so that her arm doesn't hurt because she's coloring so much. It helps her to teach like confidence and patience and focus on what she's doing. So, I mean, art in itself is a huge education piece.
Yeah. Playing dress up, which is one of my all-time favorite things, is helping you build identity and learning creativity and also learning self-expression, which I would say your children are also very good at self-expression.
Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, your little baby is just starting and you just wait. It just gets better and better when they start talking and their little personalities form. It's so fun to watch and kids are just such a good example of play. Like my son Anders, who will be 9 here pretty soon, he's constantly trying to play. Like that is his number one motivation. And if he doesn't want to do something like put his clean clothes away out of the laundry basket, he's like, I'm going to make it a game and I'm going to see if I can throw my clothes into the drawers like basketball. And then he's learning to do chores, he's learning hard work, but he's having fun while he does it.
Oh, I love that. Maybe that's how I should get my laundry put away, is I need to start shooting baskets. I
It
love that.
works.
Well, and so, play is, education in disguise, right? We just went over that. But as adults, we think that learning has to be rigid, right? Because as we go through school and become adults, we're like, sit at the desk, sit front forward, don't get distracted. Where's your pen? Where's your paper? It's serious, it's rigid. Pay attention, right? But children, they remind us to be open and curious, experiment, engaged, and allowing laughter and freedom during the learning and play process.
Hmm. So, what were some of your favorite games as a kid? If we're talking about our childhood, what was yours?
Okay, so one of my all-time favorite things, I two come to mind. Um, when I was really little, I stole this golden cloth from mom. It was material that she had bought. And I would wrap myself up in it and almost like a mummy. And I would create these like outfits. So I felt like I was a little bit of a fashionista. And I would create these different outfits with this cloth. And then I would play dress up or imagination. And I would be this, princess locked up in a tower or a queen, but I didn't know I was a queen. And, I just would role play all of these different things, which realizing now was helping me kind of figure out my identity. And how I like to express myself is definitely in like jewelry and clothes. But in that moment, I didn't know that. And then the other thing that comes to mind, this is so silly, but one of my all-time favorite toys was not a toy at all, but it was a white three-ring binder that had sheet protectors in it and colored paper. And I went through and probably stole colored paper from mom. She always had all the fun crafts and put them in like a rainbow order. And I would just flip through the book and just go like, okay, if we're going to do curtains, like we would do this color. Or if we want shoes, we would do this color and this color and this color go together. And then I'd walk up to people, pick one. And they'd be like, what for? And I'm like, just pick one. And dad would be like, brown. And I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay, thank you. And I'd go to the next person. And so, very creative and self-expressive. Those were two of my favorite games to play. And I played them often by myself now that I think about it.
Yeah, I love doing the imagination games. For me, when that question came up, the first answer that came to my mind was Monopoly. We played a lot of Monopoly growing up, and I always wanted to be the banker. I remember you would be the banker sometimes. But it teaches you like a lot of skills actually, and it was fun. And we did it as a family. That was a big favorite of mine. So sometimes like playing these games can teach you life skills or even like Risk. Remember Risk?
I was
That
just
teaches
thinking
you.
Risk was one of my favorites, world
Yeah.
domination. But it
Yeah,
was more
exactly.
than just world domination. It taught you about luck and chance. It
Hmm.
taught you about strategy. I'm a very strategic thinker, but I don't know if I knew that about myself. And, when to place your army and how much, and when to call it quits and just let someone take over your property, or when to attack someone, risk assessment, knowing, if it's worth, attacking someone versus being in the defensive mode, because with risk, you actually get opportunities to have more die. And, so yeah, risk is a big one. The other one that I thought of, and I don't know what this means about you, Annika, But one of the games you really liked to play when you were little was secretary, but it wasn't really secretary. I would say you would have to call it boss because what you loved to do was have a desk full of paperwork and pens and paper and envelopes, and you would like steal the mail. And then you would invite people in, like me, and you would say, okay, you're my new employee. I'd like you to do this and this. And inevitably, I would do it wrong. And you would say, you're fired. Okay, now go out and do it again.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so funny because our mom was a stay-at-home mom for the most of our childhood, and then she did some like side gigs and stuff. So the example to me of like what a woman would do is being a stay-at-home mom, but I've always had this like natural entrepreneurial spirit. Like I wanted the cash registers, I wanted money, I wanted the phones, I wanted to be in charge, and yeah, I did steal people's mail. I was like a felon at the age of like 7.
Yeah, what's the statute of limitations on that? I think we're okay.
Yeah, those wild times. But I think that adults still play today. Like they'll have game nights and they'll play with their kids. But why has, like, what has happened with adults? Like, why has play been kind of lost or forgotten in just like their everyday life? Not like a scheduled, hey, Friday night's game night, because I think people have that. But what's like, why are we consumed by other things? Like, what changed?
Yeah, I mean, we are so focused on being productive and we have all these obligations. We have families, we have responsibilities, we have budgets, we have deadlines. It's about efficiency. And as you start to grow your family and you have more people to take care of, then it just grows. Your responsibility and your obligations just grow. But even as a single individual, you are not surrounded by other people who are often playing, right? You're not surrounded by kids. You're not reminded at how fun it can be to play. And instead, we look at, happy hour, which is great. Happy hour can be a fun, playful time, but you don't get to do that until you've gotten all your work done. You don't get to, play and play games, if you like to do video games or whatever it might be, it's only until you feel like you've earned the right. And so we're really restrictive and we're really hard on ourselves. And so I think a lot of us see play as like a bonus, as a luxury instead of as a necessity because it's not paying the bills, it's not getting things done.
hmm I think kids will, they're not selfish, but they do put themselves first in a way, like I'm gonna play because that's what I want to do. Whereas adults will say, like you said, we can't play until this gets done. I can't go on vacation until this. And there's a lot of coaches that will say, plan your vacation first. Plan your fun first. Otherwise, you'll never make it happen. And so people say, well, that's selfish, or, we need to be responsible. We need to do all these adult things, but it will never happen because then it'll be a form of procrastination. And I think for
Mm.
me, it's I want to get to a destination instead of enjoying the journey and enjoying the play. And so, I mean, this is something even like going on a hike is supposed to be fun and enjoyable, but I'm like, gotta get to the end, gotta get to it, like, gotta finish because that's in our training. Like, we gotta finish, we gotta accomplish, we gotta achieve. And I remember going on a hike with mom in the middle of winter, and we're hiking in the snow, and I'm like 9 months pregnant, and we also have our son was 2, and we're hiking in the snow, and I'm like, "Hey, let's get to the top. Let's just keep going." And mom just stops in the middle and goes, "Oh my, would you look at that?" And I was like, "What? What is it?" She goes, "I can't believe it. I just can't believe it." I said, "What, mom? What? Like, what is so unbelievable?" And she said, "We're in the middle of winter. There's snow everywhere. And look, there's bugs, little bugs walking on top of the snow. They didn't die. They're alive. I can't believe it." And she was like in wonder for, I don't know, 5 minutes. And we're all just staring there like, come on, let's go. But she hasn't lost, which is a great example to me. She hasn't lost the ability to play, that ability to have wonder and amazement and to have childlike tendencies to enjoy life and see things for what they are in the journey and not just let's get to the destination.
I love that you shared that story because I have a very similar story about mom. And right ahead of Mother's Day, I think this is perfect to be sharing stories about our mom. We hiked up Little Cottonwood or Big Cottonwood Canyon in Utah, and it was cold and a little rainy. And so I thought, we're not going to be out here very long. And I was looking for like a specific trailhead. I'm like, okay, we're going to find a trailhead. We're going to go to this trailhead. It'll be, 2 miles. Maybe we'll do half of it because it's kind of rainy. I'm thinking kind of like dad, very military. Like, this is how we're going to get it done. And as we're driving, mom is like, wait, is that a stream? I think I saw a stream. And I was like, yeah, mom, there's streams that run through this. And I keep driving. And she goes, oh, did you see the trees? Oh, those trees are so pretty. And it was like kind of fall time. I was like, yes, mom, we're like surrounded by beautiful trees. And she's like, I bet there's really nice rocks over there. And I like stop and I go, Mom, do you want to stop here? Do you want to walk and hike here? And she was like, oh, yes, let's do that. Like, okay. So I find somewhere to park the car, not a trailhead, just making sure we're out of the way. We get out. We don't even make it down to the stream we saw 100 yards down or the tree she saw 50 yards down. She immediately looks down under her feet at the rocks that are literally below her shoes. And she's like, oh my gosh, look at these. And she's like picking up rocks. I'm like, Mom, can we just like make it to where the trees are? Can we just make it to the and so you're absolutely right. Our mom has done such a great job of building that that wonder, and she has such a childlike mindset in the best ways that I think has done us a service as people to enjoy play, whether it be playing Chinese checkers or whether it be just playing in everyday life.
And if we forget to play, what happens is burnout, stagnation, low creativity, increased stress, disconnection with people, yourself, the world, and it's just emotionally heavy. So play is super, super important. So I'm excited to talk about like the psychology of play and what is it about play that helps us as adults.
Yes. Well, it does so many things. It reduces stress, first and foremost. So, play actually lowers your stress hormones and it allows your nervous system to reset. So, if you're feeling super overwhelmed about a deadline or getting something accomplished and it's all about outcome, maybe you stop and go buy a Lego set. Maybe you go out and walk and see if you can find some cool rocks because that will allow you to reset so that you can finish the project and not burn out and not be so stressed out. You see that the stress doesn't go away. You still have the deadline, but you just handle it a little bit better. It gives you perspective.
Yeah, exactly. I remember being so stressed at work that I decided to take a break, go downtown where the waterfalls are in Idaho Falls, and get on those electric scooters that are around town. And I rode the electric scooter around the river for only 10 minutes. But I was laughing like a little kid. I was going fast. I was going over bumps. And I was like, this is so fun. And then I was like, okay, I feel like I could breathe deeper. I felt like I was less stressed because I feel like when you're so stressed over deadlines and the things that you need to do, and then you keep it in your head, it actually feels bigger than it is. But when you're able to help your nervous system release that stress, then you realize, like, oh, it's actually not that big of a deal and I can accomplish this. I'm just stressed and it's all wrapped up in my head. So taking a 10-minute scooter break during the workday can reduce your stress because it's play.
Yeah, we should get sponsored by, Lime or Uber or something. Like, we're telling you, like, everyone go out and ride a scooter for like 10 minutes. It can change your life.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's a perfect example. And I will say it also increases creativity. This is something I saw immediately in my conversation with Kaylee, who I think has a very playful, spirit anyways. But, my conversation with her and then seeing Harvey playing, I was like, okay, I'm going to let myself play some more. So I downloaded a game on my phone, which I haven't done in forever. When I have time for myself, I'm listening to podcasts, I'm reading books, I'm working on my book, I'm watching other podcasts or videos. Like, I'm constantly trying to self-educate. And I decided we're going to let ourselves play a little bit. And since downloading this game, I have had more creative ideas for stories, for podcast episodes, for business ideas in just a week. Even journaling, I've journaled more. So, your creativity gets expanded because you have these like unexpected connections when you play. And a serious mind can solve known problems, but a playful mind discovers new possibilities that you didn't even know existed.
I love that. A playful mind discovers new possibilities. That to me feels exciting. I think that that's
Yes.
super important. I think another thing about the psychology of play is helping build relationships. When you
Mhm.
are just so serious all the time, I know with my real estate clients, if I'm just all business, I don't connect with them as well. Laughter, teasing, games, the spontaneity can create bonding. And even like in my relationship, if I'm having a serious conversation with my husband, he will notice the heaviness and he will make a joke. And sometimes I roll my eyes and I brush it off or I try not to laugh because I'm like, I'm being serious.
Yeah.
But he knows that if you bring some levity into the conversation, that it reduces stress and it brings you outside your body. And you realize it's not so heavy if we bring laughter into the conversation.
Yeah, I love that. And I would say that those that I have cried with, I've opened up and cried with, I do feel connected with. But those that I have laughed with, that pure joy, I revisit those memories more. And I feel actually more connected with the people that I've laughed with than those I've cried with, which I never realized until now.
Well, and they both release endorphins, but laughter, I think, has a different frequency and a different energy than crying. Because, like, sometimes if I cry, I just feel exhausted after, but
Mhm.
laughing, I feel relieved. Like, oh,
Mhm.
that feels so good. Like, you get a little high after laughing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also improves learning. So, we talked about Duolingo and how they actually, used that gamifying learning a language, or how, you gave that example as well about if you can gamify, then you can actually improve your learning because the brain remembers what it enjoys. Like I just said, those I laugh, I revisit that memory. So your brain will actually revisit the areas that you've had joy, and it can help with memory as well.
Hmm. I think it could also build resilience. Like, it helps us feel like mistakes are survivable, right?
Yes. Because gosh, when you do make a mistake or you do something a little dumb, it can feel like hard to bounce back. But when you play and you make a mistake, like you said, what you thought was the biggest tool for learning, and you thought making mistakes, but it's really the precursor is play. Because when you first, learn to make mistakes and bounce back is when you're a child, when you see if the round block fits in the square hole, and it doesn't fit, and go, oh, let me try something else. So it's actually in that play that we're creating a safe place to make those mistakes. And it was in a study last year, in a 2025 Oregon State University study, that found that playful adults showed stronger resilience during difficult times and were more likely to see obstacles as opportunities for growth.
That's really cool.
I would also add that it increases presence. When you're playing a game, whether it be a board game or you're building Legos, or maybe it's a party game and everyone has to be, paying attention to the cards that are being played, or whatever it might be, what the next move is, you have to be present, right? When you're playing, you're present. Whether you're playing Barbies or GI Joes or whatever it might be, if you're sitting down with your kids and they're like, "Okay, you're this person, you can't be over there on your phone. You can't, not be paying attention. You have to be present." And if you practice presence during playing, it'll be easier to build presence in your everyday life.
One of the easiest way to like guarantee that you're not going to work while playing is play in the pool. go swimming because you're not going to
Mm.
bring your phone in there. At least you shouldn't. That would just be dumb if you did. But if you are in the pool with your kids or with your friends or whatever, you should be completely unplugged. And that is a place to play completely unplugged. And I think that like if you need help practicing playing without being distracted by your phone, because I've been guilty of like playing a matching game on the floor with my kids and like, oh, I got a text, let me answer it real quick between turns. I'm
Hmm.
like going in and out of play and work, but swimming, you can't go in and out. Like you are in the pool, you are playing and you're completely present and that reduces stress, it builds connections, it helps you have more laughter, like all the things that we expressed. I think swimming and playing in the pool does that.
You're absolutely right. And I think sledding, anything physical, going tubing, doing anything physical with your kids. Maybe you're throwing a baseball, playing catch. That is actually a really good place. If you notice that when you do sit down to play a matching game, you do find yourself a little bit more distracted, go in the backyard, throw a frisbee. Do something else that causes you to be physically present, and that will help you shift that mental presence as well. We constantly think that we have to be, productive, that we have to get things done before we can go out. Like, let me finish this work before I can go play frisbee with my son or daughter or with my friends. But what if you actually, like you said, prioritize play, and maybe play is the fuel for productivity? And we have it backwards.
hmm Yeah, it's true. I mean, we do it all the time. Like if you gamify, like if you like in the real estate business, you have to make a lot of calls. And a lot of realtors do cold calls and they're just calling through their pond of leads. And it can be very mundane and boring and monotonous and annoying and people don't answer or they hang up on you or they're rude. And it's hard. It is a grind. Any type of sales job is a grind. But if you gamify it and you even something really little, like some realtors will put pennies on their desk and they will move it from one side of the desk to the other for like every call they make. Or they, like for me, I will say if I set an appointment, I'm going to go to the freezer that I have in our shared kitchen at the office and go eat a spoonful of ice cream if I set an appointment because it creates that reward system. But it's play. It creates it, it makes it easier than just like, oh my gosh, I got to call 50 people.
Yeah, and you won't procrastinate as much, right? Because you don't procrastinate play, and children don't need permission to play, right? Children don't ask, like, here's this coloring book. Am I even good enough to color? Or, okay, we're going to play freeze tag, but is there a way to monetize this? Can we make like a freeze tag app? No, they just go out and play freeze tag. Or they don't stop and go, so I can't dance because it's not going to help me with my deadlines or my budgets. It's not really productive. So I'm just going to sit here. No, they don't care if they look silly. They just do. And that's why I think children actually get so much done and learn so much in such a short amount of time. Children, don't ask those questions, but adults do. They're constantly thinking, do I look silly or is this a waste of time or am I being productive? And play actually requires you to be vulnerable because you have to be free and you can't care about if you're impressing anyone or how it looks like to anybody else.
Yeah, I remember when my babies were really young and I was a stay-at-home mom and I would play with them on the ground and I felt like I wasn't being productive. I wasn't getting anything done. I was like, I feel like I haven't done anything all day. And I had this really strong impression like come into my heart and mind that was this is productive. This is
Mm.
important. Play is important. Being present with your kids is important. Just because the dishes aren't done or you didn't make money or whatever it is, you like playing is productive. And that was a big switch in my mind to help me remember that I still think about all the time.
I love that. And we're very fortunate to be parents so that we can start to be reminded of this. But there's a lot of people out there that aren't parents. Maybe that they'll never be. Maybe, they don't want to have kids. That doesn't mean they have to give up on play, right? So what are some ways that, adults can play? Because maybe it is going out and buying a Lego set. but maybe it's also dancing in the kitchen.
I like to play pickleball, which is the way to keep you healthy, stay active. That's a really fun one. I know our other sister does pottery, or she did pottery. That is play. Creative writing is play. Being silly. I mean, just like teasing each other. There's this guy, one of our team owners on my real estate team. He'll come around the office and he'll just turn off your light, like in your office, and run away. And like he's like it literally took 2 seconds, and that was 2 seconds of play, but like it's fun and it's silly. Or if you're about to grab a cookie, he'll run over and take a bite of it. And you're like, what the heck? Like the teasing, you can do this like as full grown adults. He's like 45 or something like that. And he is
Mhm.
teasing and playing. You could have a Nerf gun in your office that anytime someone walks by your office, you shoot them out the door, or shoot your husband
Yes.
with a Nerf gun and say, tag, you're it.
Oh,
There's things you could do.
it's funny you bring up Nerf guns because there was a time actually that Jason and I, so my husband and I, we had got into one of our biggest and most heated squabbles. Like it lasted for days, and I can't remember what it was even about. But we were both like really heavy afterwards, and I don't think we knew how to come back together. Like everything had been said, both of us had hurt feelings. I don't think anyone was necessarily wrong or right in the situation. But we needed to move through the next step, right? Let's get over this. And so I went to Walmart and I bought Nerf guns, and I waited because I have his location. I waited until he got home and I set one on the counter and I put a little note that said, um, sometimes we fight dot 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 or something like that. And I said like come find me. And so he got home from work and he came found me, and of course he won. He's so good, and got me with the Nerf gun, and we played for it was like 5-10 minutes. And it was just the levity that we needed to get over this like emotional hump and to help us transition back to our regular lives.
What a cool way to break the pattern too. Because it's really easy to like stay grumpy, stay in this state of unsatisfaction or being upset with your partner. And just like a fun way for me, a quick solution in the same thing is like throwing a pillow at my husband. Because he's like, what the heck? And I'm like, throw it back, pillow fight.
Yeah.
And it snaps you out of the pattern because it's so easy to spiral and be stuck in those times. So play can be used in the workplace, in your relationship, at home, by yourself, with kids, without kids. I mean, play is essential. It's a part of what brings joy and curiosity and engagement and just fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are so many other ways. I'm sure you can think of some ways that you can invite play, like improvising, a dinner, or playing a board game, sure. Or maybe it's trying on all your clothes, whatever that might be for you. But I will say, if you're not accustomed to this, if you're very rigid, maybe you're very type A and you like to get everything done on your to-do list. And if you don't get it done on your to-do list, you can't let yourself play. It can feel uncomfortable. It can feel awkward, even though it's really freeing and so good for you. It can feel hard and uncomfortable. Most of us live in this like survival mode. And so rest and this intentional freedom can feel really strange, especially if you're used to like a high pressure job. So, first, give yourself some permission that it's okay if it feels weird to even let yourself play. Like the idea of play, it feels weird to you. That's okay. That's okay. And give yourself some time or space to even let yourself see what play looks like for you. Because if you have to relearn it through repetition and allowing space, that's okay too.
hmm I think that's so good. And I think that's like a perfect transition into like coaching yourself because we're already kind of giving tips and understanding how important it is to play. So, what are ways that people listening to this can coach themselves to re-invite play into their lives?
Yes. So, first off, if you saw this episode and you begrudgingly played it and you were like, psychology of play, psh, I don't need this, you probably need this. And if you look over your most recent, life, the last, couple of weeks and you can't think of a time that you let yourself play. Now, think maybe it was turning the lights off on your husband when he goes into the shower, or maybe it was throwing a frisbee with your kids. So let yourself look back and go, where have I allowed myself to play? And if you can't remember, then it's probably time. So then I would ask, what did you love to do as a child? For me, it was playing dress up and putting on that gold cloth. So I, could try on all my clothes. How do we transition that into adulthood now, right? Or I could do my makeup and take pictures of myself. Or I used to love to take my soccer ball to a local field and just go kick goals, which is really fun when there's no goalie because you can make it almost every time. And so, what's something that you love to do as a child? Some of it you could do, right now. If you love to play board games, you could play a board game. If you love to play cards or, maybe go find a poker night. There are things that you can actually do that you used to do as a kid, but there's also ways to kind of change it for being an adult. So give yourself that room. And then I would encourage you to make a commitment, right? It's not enough to learn, it's not enough to hear this, but we need to take action. And that's what this podcast, again, is about making small changes. So let's make a small commitment together. What is something you can commit to in the next, say, 7 days that allows a little more play into your life? Is it take getting a soccer ball? You could borrow, you don't have to buy anything. Go borrow a soccer ball from a neighbor, or maybe go play golf with the guys. Maybe it is getting that coloring book that you've had on the shelf for years. Because I remember when it was really popular and everyone had adult coloring books, right? Go pull that out and use some markers and fill it in. So make a commitment with yourself in the next 7 days. Annika, I encourage you, what's something that you're going to do in the next 7 days to help invite even more play into your life?
So I'm really big into music and dancing as well. And when I get really stressed, it's almost 100% of the time there is a correlation with how much I've danced that week and how stressed I am. And so when I catch myself like I'm just so stressed, I'm going to take dancing breaks. I'm going to turn on music. Have you ever, grudgingly washed the dishes, but as soon as you turn on a show or music, it's just easier. It's easier to handle. That's play. That's introducing fun into the mundane. And that is something that will help reduce stress, help you be productive, get it done faster, infiltrate procrastination if you just put on music or if you just dance a little bit. Something that I also do is when I'm trying to memorize like a script or something or a scripture or I just something that's boring that I don't want to do, I'll do it in an accent. And I will talk to myself in an accent because that is play. That's more interesting. That's fun. And I also remember postpartum depression, like right after I had my son, having a really hard time holding it all in, trying to do it all by myself. And the moment I open my phone and I start looking at memes, I started laughing hysterically. And my husband was like, "What is wrong with you?" But it was because I was so stressed. I was holding things in. I was trying to be the perfect mom, make sure the kid was getting food and sleep, and make sure I was getting taken care of. I was just checking these boxes and making sure I was accomplishing what I needed to accomplish. And I forgot to play. And the moment I introduced play, which was literally just reading memes, I was laughing and I was laughing so hard I literally started crying. And then I was crying, relieving stress because I didn't play. And so this is the psychology of play. This is what it can do for you if you invite fun, if you invite play. It can be very small, it can be very big, and it can be lots of things in between. And it could be introduced every single day, every single hour if you want to.
I love that you shared those examples specifically for new moms because I think we get really stuck into this perfectionism of how we think we have to show up. But I think we do that as people, not just as new moms. Like, who says that you can't be playful every day? It doesn't have to be pulling out a game. It's funny you brought up accents. That was going to be the thing that I was going to bring up is just talking in weird voices. I'm going to allow myself to, yeah, a British accent when Jason comes home Or right now, Harvey is being watched by his uncle. Maybe when I'm done, I'm going to start just talking in a weird voice and an accent with him because why not? I have a call later today. Maybe I'll be in an accent on that call. I don't know, right? But I'm gonna allow myself to go there because why not? Why
Hmm.
not enjoy what you're doing? Why not allow yourself to have that playful mind? Children don't play because life is easy. We think, oh, children have it so easy. It's actually really hard to be a baby, to be a child, because you're in this world you haven't been in for very long and everything is new. And they're trying to discover the world. But see, that's the key. They are discovering. They're open, and play helps to understand life. To see the humor in life allows you to enjoy it a little bit more. So maybe you need the reminder that it's okay to be playful. I know that I did. And maybe you don't need permission, but in case you do, now you have it. This has been another episode of the Be Your Own Life Coach podcast. If you found value in today's conversation, subscribe and share the love. And remember the teachings of Lao Tzu. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. Until next time, trust yourself, take the wisdom, take the breath, and take the next step.